conscious evolutionaries. Welcome to our Christmas Fika. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm not really sure what we're going to be talking about today, but I just knew that I wanted to come and show up here so that we could celebrate this Yule time together. Um, and yeah, I do think I owe you a little bit of a report on what information I got during the solstice and the things that we can expect in the upcoming 6 months. So, for this special Christmas edition, I got myself some cocoa. Well, it is oat milk cocoa, so it is a little bit um, not traditional, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of milk, but this stuff, so good. And then, of course, we got some pepperkakor, and they're in the shape of hearts. So, So make sure that you grab yourself something extra special for this special time of year. And then let's see what comes up, shall we? So good. Hmm. Well, first of all, how have you guys been? For me, it was quite the turbulent solstice period. So I'm assuming that was the case for a lot of you. It seemed that there were a lot of things that needed to be brought up to the surface, even if that was not the most comfortable thing to experience. But what I got from this solstice and the energy of moving forward for this next 6 months is that it is going to be very important that we emotionally mature a lot. Because what we have coming up, if you're looking at the astrology transits, is a lot of transformation to the point where we might look back on the next solstice and we might not recognize the world and ourselves from this point till the next point. And if we want to get through that in a way that is constructive, in the sense that whatever needs to be taken down is taken down consciously and not in need of being completely blown up to pieces and having a lot of damage in that process. So, for that to happen, we really need to take responsibility for all of those things. And we need to start navigating that from a very mature perspective. And I know that this is very hard, and maybe that's why my solstice was so extreme so that I can share this. But there are going to be things that are going to be happening that, from our old perspective, are going to be seen as completely unfair, completely unjust. Why did I deserve this? Um, and it's going to be the challenge for us to really look at, yeah, why did this happen to me? And it's not necessarily that you deserved what was coming to you or that you should go like, oh, it's not a big deal, it's not a bad thing, and the other person shouldn't be held accountable for what they did. It's about, oh, there clearly is something inside of me that I need to deal with that is buried so deep that something so absurd or big needs to happen to me for me to really be shown this thing that is hidden so deep inside of myself. And these are things that are very hard to admit to ourselves, to other people. Those are not the things that we like to publicly talk about, that we want other people to know about ourselves. These are the things that are hidden pretty deep. And the reason that we have such a hard time talking about them is because I think we fear the judgment of other people. And we know it's not good. But if we cannot recognize that it is there and that it's probably coming from somewhat of a traumatic experience in our childhood that just carries over, and yes, our mind knows that we shouldn't think like that, but there is still a part of ourselves that hasn't been caretaken that feels that way. So as long as we keep pushing that away, we're never really going to change anything. So that is where this emotional maturity comes in, where we go like, I'm the adult now. I am going to caretake these hurt parts of myself. It doesn't excuse whatever somebody else did, but if you had a very bad reaction inside of yourself to what somebody else did, then that is your first priority to deal with, not the other person, not the external world. It is what is happening inside of you and what is being shown to you, that if you all of a sudden really wish bad things upon people because something happened to you, that means that there is still some parts of you that are terribly in pain and hurt, and that we are going to need to caretake so that we can get out of this perpetuance of this cycle. Because if somebody does something bad to us and we get hurt and we don't properly deal with it in some way, one way or another, that gets perpetuated. I'm not saying you're going to do the same thing that was done to you to somebody else, but there might be another version and other circumstances that comes from the same pattern that kind of ripples out. And if even if you manage to not have it ripple out through you, it's still a point of attraction because it hasn't been dealt with. And that's basically what it is. That's why we have this law of attraction and we say we attract these things into our lives. It's basically so that these parts could get the attention that they want from ourselves. So if you want that basically to stop, to get yourself in those situations, or for yourself to even be hurt by those situations, that's what you do. You go to yourself and you find out what is happening in there. And of course, I understand that there are people who go through things and people that do things that have very permanent consequences. And I don't want to negate that in any way. And I don't want to compare my situation to any horrific event that you can go through in your life that is, yeah, beyond anything that you would wish upon anyone. But I had this experience where somebody accused me of something that, to me and to everything I've stood for in my life for as long as I can remember, is so absurd. And it hurts my ego very, very deeply to even have somebody think that of me, let alone somebody going to tell lies about this, even go to authorities about this, which is just like so mind blowing. and it's so upsetting emotionally. But of course, I understand it's nothing like somebody hurt your child or like something terribly bad happens to somebody that can never be fully undone. So I get that. But let's be fair, most of us get terribly, terribly upset about situations like what happened to me and what I was describing. And I got so angry with this person, and like it was so infuriating that I I had absolutely no intention of wanting to reconcile, of wanting to forgive them, of wanting to find a constructive solution, of getting past this. I just wanted them to feel the pain that I was feeling. I just wanted them to, yeah, like I wanted revenge basically. And I know I couldn't get it, but still that's what like I was feeling inside of myself. And that is something that lives inside of myself because when I was a kid, at some point, I felt a lot of injustice, and that has not been fully integrated. So that makes me react in ways that are not in alignment with who I wish to be. So I am not here because I am further along or better than anyone who's watching this. I'm just going through this as well and sharing and hopefully inspiring other people to take on this process, because if we ever want to create a different world, this is how we're going to do it, by owning up to these things that still live inside of ourselves and starting to transform them and integrate them and seeing them as valid parts of ourselves and healing them, taking care of them, so that if we encounter similar situations in the future, our reaction inside of us will be different. It will be more from a perspective that is more unifying instead of wanting to perpetuate this conflict. So I think that is the biggest job, the most important job that we can do in 2025. Because if we don't, all of this transformation that will be happening, it will just, how do I say this? It will just kind of swallow us up, kind of like being dragged into the ocean and the waves just keeping falling over us, basically, and just like coming up for air and feeling like, yeah, we're being swallowed and drowned in it. That if we can go through here and go like, oh, okay, because then we can understand why it's actually happening, and it has nothing to do with other people or nothing to do with the outside, but everything to do with us on the inside. And as long as we can go there, then it's not happening to us, but then it's happening for us. We can take it and take steps forward. And that doesn't mean it's pleasant. It doesn't, but I really think we have to get over this idea that if we come down here to Earth, it's to necessarily have a pleasant experience. Parts of it will be pleasant. I'm not saying you come here to have a horrific experience, but we have become so comfortable in our modern society in the West that we avoid any kind of discomfort. And that kind of perpetuates this evasiveness of these harder parts of life. And then we go into more angry states where we resent having to do this work, while this is actually why we're here. So this will be something that we will have to work on in this upcoming new year. But I do hope before that we have a little break now for the holidays. As far as I've seen the astrology, there might be a little bit of turbulence during Christmas time. We have some transits. Let me think, which one is it again? There's a square on Christmas Eve, and I think it's Saturn and Uranus. That's exact. So that's a pretty intense one, but nothing that should necessarily stop us from enjoying our Christmas time. But like it's things are pretty slow now. So I think we kind of get this break, or we get to just slow down and enjoy, and there will always be something happening, something coming up. But it looks like we just get to take it slow for this week. But then afterwards, things really start ramping up, and then it will start to take off in a very fast pace, basically. So 2025 will be, and yeah, unlike anything we've ever experienced. And I don't know exactly what that looks like. So I always feel kind of silly saying that, but how did I say that? Like, I don't know how they say it in English, but it's like something like a warned person. Like, it's better that you are prepared, something like that. I don't know what the saying goes like in English. But if you can kind of be mentally prepared for that, and if you can set yourself up for that and lean into that, then I think it can be really amazing. And you can like also ride that wave instead of being swallowed by it and just be perpetuated forward in a big time. And I plan to do that. And I hope a lot of you plan to do that with me, because that's basically the best thing that can happen for the collective. Let's see. Mm, what else shall we talk about today? Well, I don't know if you can see it in the window behind me, but it has been snowing all day today. The weather is a little bit funny, getting colder and warmer and colder and warmer and colder and warmer. So then it's snowing and the snow's melting and snowing again and snow is melting. So we were kind of scared that it wasn't going to be a white Christmas, but it has been snowing so much. And today it should still stay pretty cold, and tomorrow as well. And so tomorrow's actually like Christmas Eve. And here in Sweden, that's actually the day they celebrate. So in Belgium, it's like later, like really like Christmas Eve dinner that it starts, and then you have Christmas Day is like the main party. But here in Sweden, they have like the main party all day on the 24th already. So that will be a white Christmas for sure. But then Christmas Day, all of a sudden, for now, it's predicted pretty warm, like 5 degrees or something. So that means that it will be melting, but probably not as fast as everything will not be gone on Christmas Day. So we'll definitely have somewhat of a white Christmas, which is something that's quite important to us as we moved all the way up to the north, because we're kind of tired of the rainy Belgium gray weather. So we're like, oh, please let it be a white Christmas. But it looks like it will. And today is like literally one of the darkest days, because it's been gray, cloudy, no sunshine at all. So yeah, that's, if you don't know, like the days between the solstice, the 21st, and Christmas is actually the days that are the shortest. So it's kind of like it stops for 3 days, and you have like 3 days that are the shortest. And that's actually like the thing. You have the solstice, and then they would like have the 3 days of darkness, and then on Christmas, that basically would be the celebration of the return of the light, of the days finally getting longer again. And then, of course, Christianity just kind of hijacked that. But it doesn't really matter. It's kind of nice here in Sweden that it's called Yule as well, because it kind of takes it away from the religious overtaking. So yeah, that's really nice. But I love the atmosphere. I love the coziness of it. I love the decorations and the traditional feel of it all. Um, so I would never want to give that up, religion or no religion. So that's why I'm also so happy that I get to share a little bit of this coziness here with you guys. Um, let's see. There's something else that I should convey today. Hmm. Hmm. Well, what are your plans for this Christmas? Because I always see like a lot of people who find themselves in not so traditional situations, who have like a hard time with their family or with yeah, they feel like they're alone, and all of these things. They have a hard time during the holidays. But there are so many ways to do the holidays non-traditionally, or like make your own traditions. And it can be just so fun because we live in a country where we don't have family and we're not going home. So we just kind of make our own thing, make things super cozy, go visit some of the neighbors, um, and we make it like a good thing like that. So if you're like in the situation, and maybe this year it's a little bit late, but just maybe then you can focus on using this Christmas to picture what you would make your um, next Christmas like, what you can do from your non traditional situation to make Christmas great for you, anyways. Um, let's see. Hmm. Kind of feels like that got quite an emotional reaction from people. So I'm just going to take a moment to feel into that. like something inside me wants to say, like, yes, you do have that power. You get to believe that. You get to create that. You get to drop that story that because you don't have this ideal family, that Christmas cannot be a good thing for you, or it has to stay a reminder of what you don't have. A lot of emotional maturing has to do with really being brave enough to make that commitment and to lean into all of these things, even if they're uncomfortable, even if they bring up these emotions that we've been avoiding for so long, and really honestly looking at them. Also, really looking at the beliefs behind it, because if it upsets you so much, that is because you still believe that that is the way to celebrate Christmas. And that's like the only right way to do it. And that's the only way you really get to enjoy it. And anything else is less than. But that's a belief system. And that is something that's completely within your grasp to change. But of course, you have to put in some effort to actually change that. And that's like, I also said it in my newsletter, that is self parenting. And I am going to create a course on that in the new year. Um, yeah, I've been thinking about it for the last 2 days since that idea came to me. It was something that first time it came up was when I was making the um, inner. Oh my God, I have Christmas brain already. Um, no, but it's no joke. I've been eating gluten, and that makes my brain a little bit foggy. So, my God, I cannot even remember um, the name of my challenge that I did last time. Oh, the inner compass challenge. My God. Oh, people, please don't hold this against me. No, when I was creating the inner compass challenge, I started to see like this one puzzle piece that really was like the self parenting. And it's also something that I've been noticing, even if I take people through a rebalancing journey, there has to become this shift at some point where you kind of learn to take over yourself. And it seems to be something that people are missing, as we're always in this process of healing this fragmentation inside of ourselves and integrating all of these things. And we see, in general, we see fragmentation as something negative, as something bad, as something that's not the way it's supposed to be. And of course, that is true. But since it is there, it's just like everything, it is. And you can use it to your advantage as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be this disadvantage. There are parts of it that you can use to your advantage. And that is, you can find parts of yourself that would make great parents. And I'm not talking to like the um, internal versions of your parents. If you're a little bit familiar with how fragmentation works, like there we have like a lot of parts inside of ourselves. That's why sometimes, you're doing something and you hear like this voice of your mom saying, no, you shouldn't do it like that. Or like, this is supposed to be this way. Or like, and those are like those voices of our parents that we just kind of internalized to protect ourselves. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about parts inside of yourself that are kind of protector parts of yourself that have very good parental instincts, and they have the capacity for all of these qualities that good parents have. So if we can learn to hone into that and to sharpen those skills and to develop those understandings, um, then we can, then we can use those parts to parent ourselves. And then if we feel like a little upset child come in, then that part can come in and say, like, okay, I see you're upset. This is a very upsetting situation. But now I'm going to respond to this in an attuned way, in the way that your parents couldn't do. And through that process, we start to integrate and heal and develop that emotional maturity. But yeah, that's not a very simple thing to do because I was thinking about this and like it's all very fresh. I just started thinking about it. It's like 2 days ago, but it's kind of like learning to dance. And I was thinking like, well, yeah, because there is never one right answer, like every situation is different. So, but if you learn to dance, you learn different steps. I used to do ballet, so there was like you learn this step, you practice it. You learn this step, you practice it. Then they put these two steps together and you practice it. And then after a while, you know so many steps, and then you can start to create choreographies. And not each step can fit right after another. And you cannot just do anything random. There has to kind of be thought in it. You have to make sure you're like the right foot is in front, or you have to like switch directions and so on and so on. So it's again, we will learn all these different aspects that go in it, and then we kind of have to practice how we make them into the attuned choreography that is required for each individual situation, basically. And that is something I think that we have been missing a lot. So that's really my intention, um, that I want to contribute in 2025 so that we can have that available, that we can learn all of those things and learn how to put them together so that we can be in this attuned dance with ourselves from this very mature perspective where we can really start growing inside of ourselves. So I hope that you're as excited about that as I am. Let's see. Hmm. I hope I don't have chocolate milk on my mouth. I also don't want to wipe because I actually put on some lipstick today. I thought I made myself a little bit festive. Usually, if you've been here for a while, I'm out in the forest by the campfire. Or last week, I was also here in my living room by my stove, but I just had been so kind of sick with a cold, and I was just like, I have to show up. But it was almost in my pajamas. So I thought today for Christmas, I tried to show up a little bit more in a festive state. So I don't want to wipe my lipstick off my mouth, but I also don't want to have like chocolate milk. But I think I have shared most of what I wanted to share with you guys. I also don't want to keep you too long because I know everybody's very busy on the holidays, but I did want to have this enjoyable moment with you guys. Um, let's see. If you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so that you'll be notified if new videos come up. I haven't been very consistent with the days and everything over the last few episodes, so that way you make sure that you don't miss it when it pops up. And then we'll see how that goes in the new year, if I go back to a fixed rhythm or if I go more on a flowing in the moment when I feel that there is something important that I want to connect and share with you guys over. But I will be here for sure. I wish you amazing holidays and I wish you all the best. In case I don't talk to you anymore, I wish you my best wishes for the new year, and then I will absolutely be back. Take care of yourselves. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon, okay? Bye.